Welcome to another My Outlander Purgatory recap. This week, we continue our Season 6 coverage with a recap of Episode 604, Hour of the Wolf. Ready? Then pour yourself a wee dram, settle in, and let's do this! Hi, everyone!
Hi, everyone!
I'm Tracey.
I'm Carol.
And we are My
Outlander
Purgatory. Did you forget it was Outlander? Just like I forgot how to do this whole thing and we had to do it twice.
I'm really a little confused at what's happening this evening. You guys, someone got a haircut.
You guys, I have to say thank you all so much for weighing in. And while there were a few people who did vote for the longer hair, I would say the bulk of the votes were like, get it cut. You look younger. And so, that's going to motivate me to do pretty much anything. It's like, everyone's like the sassy shorter dude. So I went for it. And here are the results.
Love it.
Just went last night. So this haircut is literally 25 hours old. So it still needs to settle in a little bit. But I think it's pretty good. Went to a new person too, who is an Outlander fan, I have to say, because we were talking about the show and the books the whole time. So thank you for your advice. It was a little scary after so long, not in the barber chair, as we would say, but I'm glad I did it. Carol, how are you doing?
Tracy, what an evening. You guys,
why don't you tell us about your evening?
Oh my goodness. So I finished dinner at 5:45 and I text Tracey because she always eats later. And so I was like, Tracey, listen, I'm done. So I'm setting up. I'm going to be good to go. So she's like, yeah, I have to eat. And then I'm going to rewatch and blah, blah, blah. So, I was not ready. When she texted me okay, I'm getting ready. I only need 5-10 more minutes. I text her a picture of my bathroom where the water is spraying out of a toilet pipe. I was upstairs. I hear this water and you guys, do you ever do this? I hear water spewing downstairs and I go, oh my God, I bet I left the water on in the kitchen and just went upstairs. Have you ever done? I'm so afraid that I'm going to do something really horrifying because my memory is so bad that I'm just going to forget to turn something off. So I come downstairs and I'm like, it's not the kitchen. I'm like, is my own wee Ian in the bathroom? No, the bathroom was raining. Okay. It was pouring in the bathroom, coming out. Long story short, I don't even know. I just went under the house. I turned off the water. I turned off the water in the bathroom. So I don't have a plumber. I don't know about you guys. Does anybody have you give them the retainer for the year and then, when you call them, they'll come faster. I don't have that. So now I'm like, YouTube. I want to fix it myself. Sorry about that long answer, but Tracey, that's how I'm doing this evening. But I can't wait to discuss this episode.
I was going to say, so certainly you are drinking something after that little debacle.
I couldn't have poured it into my mouth fast enough. And Tracey told me at one point, Carol, it is National Cocktail Day. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, then I can't have wine. And meanwhile, after that happened, I wanted wine like nobody's business because wine is the ultimate chill. And I really didn't have time to put together a cocktail. So I literally am drinking Skinny Girl. You're going to laugh at what I'm drinking right now. And 0 sugar 7-Up. They're really good, especially in the summer, but
it's like a margarita fizz. Margarita fizz.
Yeah, this is a big time throw together, but honestly, they're pretty good. Tracey, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking wine.
Nothing wrong with that, girlfriend.
I always have to. I need my glasses here. I'm drinking La Maria 2020 Albarino.
Oh,
I would suspect that this is from Wine Club, but I can't guarantee it. And it's lovely. It's very herbal. It's very grassy notes.
Is it nutty and corny?
No, I would say it's very meadowy, grassy, were Edward to bring a little picnic lunch when he and Bella went to the meadow for the first time.
Oh, God.
And if he could drink, he might have brought this because it's very reflective of the meadow.
Do you think they'll kill me? All right, that's a whole different video. I'll keep my mouth shut about that movie. I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
So yeah, okay. So Carol's had an exciting evening. I had my hair cut. We're drinking, and we've watched several times the latest episode of Outlander for season 6, episode 604, called Hour of the Wolf. I do before
the whole damn episode.
Yeah. Well, that is why it's called Hour of the Wolf, because it really was.
Holy crap.
There's a lot of wolf. There's a lot of wolf in this episode. So it's, as we said, Hour of the Wolf. The writer is Luke Shellhouse, who has written for at least last season and maybe the season before. I don't really remember, but and the director is another woman director, Christiana Ebohan Green. There you go. Carol, did this opening, we have a cold opening, and did the cold opening make you very happy like it made me happy? The cold opening was...
Wait, hang on, I gotta look at my...
You're like, what was that? Okay, Carol, how much did you love the cold open of this? Where, you have to think back to like 2 seasons ago, season 4, right? When Ian became a Mohawk. And we saw Jamie and Claire like sitting around, whatever. And they were like, is Jamie going to be a Mohawk or whatever? And then Ian walks in and he's like full on Mohawk. They've made him into a Mohawk. And here we see what happened from his perspective. Were you into that?
No, if you read my blog posts, one of the, if not the blog post I remember writing the most out of all of them, you know how I cried. I mean, I hated what they did to him. I kept in the middle of the blog post saying, they tattooed his face. Now, I will say, didn't you? I don't know. In the books, I was envisioning it much more prevalent. Like I wasn't, he's got the little tiny, I was envisioning a little bit more on his face, but it was interesting to see. It was interesting to hear them say they wanted to wash every bit of white blood out of him. I thought that was interesting. And they decided they were going to call him, whoa.
I'm going to say right out from the outset, I don't know any of the Indian names. I'm not going to know any of the Indian names. The Mohawk Indian guy I was calling Hot Mohawk. It's the best. That's all I got. That's all I got. Emily is Emily. I was a little disappointed.
That one? The one who ends up, the one who's his friend who stabs him in the back?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is pretty hot, but I'm sorry. Mohawk guy from Jersey.
Well, I have to say, okay, if you're really good at I'll give them other nicknames. So sometimes as you know, if you remember back from season 4, when we had Father, whatever his name was, and I thought that the actor looked like Neil Patrick Harris. So I kept calling him Father NPH. Mm-hmm. So, okay. Emily was the Mohawk Anna Paquin in my head. I couldn't get Anna Paquin out of my head. From the second I saw her, I was like, she's the Mohawk Anna Paquin. She looks like her right here was exactly like her. Stokey!
What are you? I miss Eric.
And Hot Mohawk was the Mohawk Milo Ventimiglia.
Who?
Milo Ventimiglia.
Oh. Okay. I mean, I didn't. That's not who I would pick, but yeah, he was.
And that was very late in the episode. I sort of made that connection. So, so all right, but yeah, I don't know any of their names. I know Bird bird that sings in the morning? I don't know Hot Mohawk's name.
Yes, because later he said the evening. The guy said the evening.
And unless Carol did better than I did, Emily is Emily. I don't know her name. I don't know. I know Ian is Ian, and I don't know any of the other ones. So,
well, we're going to get into the difference between the books and the show when it comes to Emily.
Yes, we will. All right. I loved that cold open. I'm sorry. We disagree because.
No, I'm not saying I don't love it. I mean, I liked seeing it. I just hated it in the book. And it was, wasn't super easy to take. I'll tell you what, this was a little bit easier to take than the book.
Yeah, I mean, maybe because we already went down that road 2 years ago.
Not only that, but I was fascinated watching them do the little burn almost, and then rub the soot into it, and
was the soot making the coloration, or I guess it was.
No, yeah, they took a little hot poker or whatever the hell you want to call it, made like a burn. I think that's what I thought they were doing, and then taking the soot. So then the soot's like soaking in while it's.
Oh, see, I thought they were making a little cut. Like when you get a real tattoo, you would it's a needle, right?
Yeah. Well, maybe that's what they were doing. Maybe it wasn't a hot poker. Maybe it was just a point, sharp, and it was just like a little cut, and then they were sticking the soot. We need to move on because that makes me sick.
Yeah, but so I loved that. I loved seeing him. I loved how scared he looked. Like it's been so long since we've seen young Ian, really young Ian. And we saw him again there, and that was like the opening shot, and I just loved that. I loved it. Loved it.
I loved that when he smiled when they all started hooting and hollering for him.
Yeah. So you see, but he just looks so young and so scared. So we get our first glimpse of Emily, just sort of sitting there. She's sort of amused by all of it. I like that I recognized a lot of the actors from 2 seasons ago. That they brought them all back for the Cherokee scenes.
Right.
What did you think of the use of flesh of our flesh and bone of our bone?
I was like, that's Diana's.
I kind of was too.
Jamie and Claire. Like that doesn't belong here.
I kind of was too. I kind of didn't love it.
But after the honorary Christian going down the river thing from last week, I don't remember what the hell is in the book. I'm keeping my mouth shut. Like
I know. Oh my God. I know.
I'm like, did they actually say this? And that would be the type of thing that like, when we were reading the books, we would have been like, but she already said this. And she'd be like, I don't know. It's a lot of books.
I was actually looking at the book before we started today to find if that duel with Scotchie actually happens, and I don't think it does. I'm pretty confident to say that that's not in the book.
Mm-hmm.
But let me know if it is. But I don't think it is. And I don't think that was either, because I do think we would have noticed it. And it's just weird. That was weird to me. It was like, I know they're trying to make a connection, but it felt very. Do you think Ian maybe told them to say it? Like he was writing his own vows, sort of?
No.
And then it's like a Scottish expression, and maybe he wanted them to say it.
I don't know.
I don't know. It was a little weird to me. So anyway, Ian is given a new name. He is adopted into the tribe. He is called Wolf's brother. We're gonna agree to not think about all the accent stuff. I started to tell this story last week, and I don't think I told it, and it's how I'm dealing with it in my head, the accent thing. So remember, I started to talk about that I was in that play, A Shane and Madel, where I had to have a Yiddish accent, and it's sort of the same thing in that play where like some of the characters speak Yiddish, or like have like they're it's around the Holocaust and they're from Poland. So some of them have accents, but they use not a technique, like what do you call it? Like, I don't know. I'll call it technique because I don't know what else to say. Like you do have characters who are, like there's flashbacks to being in Poland and whatever. and the characters are supposed to be speaking Yiddish. And the way they do it is, so I'm like, speaking my Yiddish accent, and then I'm thinking back, right? And then like some character, like my, old husband or whatever from Poland comes in, and we start the conversation in Yiddish. So I would have to learn like, blah, 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 blah in Yiddish. And then it transitions to English. But the hook, the device, that's the word I'm looking for. The device is that the English then at that point is unaccented. So that's how you get it. You get that pretty early on that like, oh, okay. When they're speaking in unaccented English, they're really speaking in Yiddish, like full on, but I wouldn't understand that, me, audience member. So that's how they're letting me know that they're speaking in Yiddish right now. And that's kind of how I'm going with all of this. Like, I'm assuming that unless otherwise told, they're speaking Mohawk. And there you go. I do like that there was some Mohawk that they didn't show what they were saying. And you just sort of like figured it out from what they were doing. Or
that is more natural. That's what it would be. That I would rather not know what some of them are saying than hear everybody like, hey, what's up? Want some eggs for breakfast?
Yeah. So I'm over it. You won't hear anything. You won't hear me say anything more about it. That's how I've reconciled it in my head. It's all Mohawk unless otherwise noted.
I do have Easter egg wolves running. I feel like I'm watching Twilight. Aren't they totally like the Twilight wolves?
It kind of was, yeah. That was like a kind of obvious Easter egg to me. Like, I like the ones that are a little more mysterious, and you have to figure them out. Like, you don't get it right away, but like they were just like, okay, Ian, you're now Wolf's brother. Sing me a song, did it in running wolves.
I'm sorry, but Native Americans and wolves all over the place. I'm like, dear God, where's Edward?
Oh, true. Okay, yes, I get the Twilight.
Oh, I was totally all I could think of was the CGI when we first found out they were going to be CGI wolves, and
so we get past the Easter eggs, and Claire and Jamie it's morning.
Bow chicka bow bow.
And then Jamie says to Claire, that sex was automatic.
Hydromatic. Ultramatic. Why could be grease lightning?
Hydromatic. It's grease lightning.
Why is green lightning?
And I had to laugh so hard because our local high school, my kids' high school, is doing Grease this weekend. So
Carol was Sandy too, you guys, in her high school production of Grease. Did you know that?
We don't need to talk about that.
And I was Jan in college, so when I say that we know Grease like the back of our hand, we do.
I have, do they ever have bad sex? Does she ever want him to hurry it up so she can get to sleep? Or to get on with her day?
Well, she was.
The first thing you don't even see them, you hear it. and you're like, oh Lord, it's gonna Jamie Claire again. Sure enough.
I swallowed the wrong way. I thought for a minute it was Roger and Bree. For some reason, I don't know why. I don't know what they showed or what they like panned across, but I thought it was going to be Roger and Bree for some odd reason. And no, it was Jamie and Claire as usual. I think Claire did want to get up because she kept being like, well, we need to go. Like, there's Major McDonald. We need to go.
Well, I said, I think I'm actually uncomfortable watching them as they're like whispering sweet nothings. Like it was just, oh, and Jamie's all like, honey cakes, let's stay in bed.
But did you love the Grease Lightning? Like, I was just like, oh my God, Carol's going to die at this.
I did, but I couldn't get past the fact that I was like, most men at that age, at that point in their marriage, are like, all right, great. Got a lot to do today. Like, they're not sitting around like, oh, stay, let's cuddle. They're like, I got a nice little Saturday planned. So yeah, I was like, oh, it's nice and all, but okay.
All right. So eventually they do get up, and Jamie talks to Fergus. Tell me if I leave anything out too, because I think my notes are a little sparse this week.
I have plenty.
So he's talking to Fergus, and Fergus is going to be in charge of trading and taking the goods to Cross Creek and trading, making trades for them. Which is nice. And it's great. I mean, that is a really good job for Fergus. And I think it's too soon after everything that's happened for him to kind of realize that he's good at sales. Jamie's like, no, you're a good salesman. I will say sober Fergus is a hot Fergus.
Oh, Jesus, I love Fergus. And go see Jocasta and get a loaf of bread. And he's reading off the list. And Fergus is like, I'm not a dumbass. I know what you're up to. Oh, but I do have to say, I loved that. Like, you have to have faith in yourself. I have faith in you. And I did love that. It was sweet.
I did. The funniest thing of all that was, it was so weird. And it was like, clearly Jamie needed to do this to kind of like transition to like move the conversation in the direction they wanted it to go in. But he's like, okay, so you're going to like trade all this stuff. And then, you're going to go like visit Aunt Jocasta and say hi to her because she'll like that. And you're going to do this and you're going to do that. And here's some broadsheets to read on the in the wagon. Like he's a flight attendant or something. Like,
Do you have anything light? How about this leaflet, famous Jewish sports legends?
And it was like a page. I was like, how long is that going to take him?
I was like, I don't even have a piece of paper around here, but it was like these two little pieces of paper. But he's got them. Like, that's sweet. I really do need to do this now.
Yeah, thanks for giving me a piece of paper to read. Like, what did that take me?
This. Wait. He's got them in his hand like the whole time. So he's like, okay, so you're gonna go and you're gonna like sell all these goods, and Mr. Brogue's gonna go with you, and like I don't even know what's on the side. And then go to Aunt Jocasta and like say hi to her because she'll like that, whatever. And here's two broadsheets for you to read in the wagon.
Yeah, I didn't get it either.
Well, clearly he had to steer the conversation so that then they could talk about like being printers back in Edinburgh. Wasn't that great? Didn't you have fun doing it? But I was like, oh my God. Like that was about the most awkward transition ever in the history of like getting the conversation somewhere.
Yes. But we're going to move on to even more awkwardness, aka Bree shooting. Running back to the house and then shooting and then running back to the house. Like,
did she have to like go back to the house to reload, or why couldn't she reload there? She was reloading there. See, I don't really remember that. I just remember she was like, yeah, Roger, you're getting better. I don't feel like doing this anymore. I'm going in the house. Bye.
She did. But then that's exactly what I have. He's all proud of himself because he hit something. And Bree gives him the approval nod and says, you've been practicing. And she's such a fantastic shooter that she turns around and goes back to the house and walks away. And it finally hits me after all these seasons and all these years that Bree has never really been portrayed on the show. I really felt like she walked away and I thought, oh, there goes Bree, whatever. But I did kind of feel bad because I was like, you want to talk about on the show and does the show work? Has the show audience really ever understood like Bree's talents, or only Bree talking about her talents? Because we all know, how much did they get into it, if at all? I don't remember. The fact that Bree is like a freaking amazing shot, because when she was in her own time, her other father taught her how to shoot. So like she's a really good shot. And have we ever really gotten that?
I think we have, but I think it's been a while.
And then she's turning around and going back to the house. But the next thing you know, she's back and shoots. Then she walks back up to the house, and I'm like,
did I miss that?
She have laundry? Like, what is going on right now? That's what made me think of it when you're talking about Fergus and Jamie and the awkward situation, the awkwardness of it, that they had to sort of segue into the broadsheets and then they segued right into the shooting situation and Bree going back and forth. And I was like, I don't get it. Maybe they just had a very long episode and had to cut a lot. Maybe some stuff ended up on the editing floor.
Maybe it could be. I don't know. I didn't notice Bree going on. I mean, I didn't even like really notice a whole lot. I was watching that scene more for like the Donald McDonald stuff. Like I thought I was on the floor howling. I thought it was so funny when Donald with Major McDonald is like, those Indians, they have such long names. Why can't they just have Christian names? And Ian is like, oh, you mean like Donald, son of Donald?
I know.
It was so great. And Ian was just like, la, 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 la. It was so great. So I was kind of paying attention to that, and he tells Jamie that he wants the Cherokee to swear an oath of loyalty to the king and the crown because they're getting all these guns. They're used, but like they still work good. Tell them that.
We got them for a great price on eBay.
They're refurbished,
but still good.
Yes, you can return them at any time for a full refund. After 30 days, it's credit only. So I didn't notice Bree going back and forth, but I did know, obviously, once Jamie went up and was like, what's wrong? And she's like, okay, I have to tell you something. It's not going to work. And there's going to be the Trail of Tears and da-da-da-da. I feel like we heard this from Bree because she told Ian, right?
Yes, it was
a couple episodes ago.
She told Claire. No, she told Jamie. I think she told
Ian because she just told Jamie today. Because if she had told Jamie, that would have been worse because that really would have been repeating the scene. I was just like, I got all confused because I was like, wasn't Jamie listening at the door when she was telling Ian this? But no, he was listening at the door when Ian was telling Marcy that he had a baby.
Yes. All I know is I was like, wow, that Bree, she really paid attention in history class. Like some of the stuff Bree comes up with, I'm like, damn, I don't even remember that. And then we're eating dinner tonight and my own wee Ian, I start talking about the episode and I start talking about that. And he goes, well, yeah, the Trail of Tears. And I'm like, shit, everybody knows about this but me.
Or as Jamie said, like the Trail of Lots of Weeping People or whatever he called it.
Yeah, I caught that too.
But yeah, Bree is like, it's not going to work. It's going to be really bad. There's not going to be anything that they can do to save them. And I kind of didn't pay too much attention because, like I said, I think that we have already gone over this with Ian. So Ian already knows it. But anyway, Jamie and Ian are off to the Cherokee. I got a big kick out of like when they get there and they have to put all their weapons in that mailbox. It's like where you'd put your cell phones, like if you were going into some secret place.
Well, I just had to laugh that like he thinks there's like hundreds of weapons and there's 20 guns. Like I was like, what the hell do they think 20 guns are going to do?
Well, that's Bree's point. It's like 20 guns are not going to do a damn thing. Forget about it. They're screwed. So they finish putting in their guns and their hatchets and their knives and their dirks and their skin dews and everything else that they got to harm somebody with, their rocks, their boomerangs, whatever.
Jamie's striking good looks.
And they're walking around and Ian notices that they're a Mohawk here because he sees a horse of a different color, if you will. It's got like a different color blanket on it, and it's got there's a name for that, the three feathered decoration, and because Ian was like, oh, there's a blah 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 tribe blah 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 on it,
right?
and he realizes it's Mohawk, and then he sees manly Mohawk dude from 2 seasons ago, and he's like, dun dun dun.
In the red coat.
In the red coat. Yep. Same guy from 2 seasons ago. I remember him. He's the one. Didn't we think he was going to walk into fire or something?
I don't know. I find some of it exhausting.
Or somebody did walk into fire. I don't know. It kind of makes me want to watch like that last episode of season 4 or whenever it was to see how many of the people are familiar. So then we get Jamie and Ian, I guess like later that day. I don't know if they're if they're staying over and they're sitting in their hotel room or their
teepee,
their hotel teepee, their teepee room, whatever.
Their Airbnb that's been made up for
Airbnb. Their Mohawk Airbnb. And we hear the story of Emily. We hear it top to bottom. So there's lots to break down here. In the books, she has a big, long ass name. I think bigger than what we see, like, because it does flash on the. I forgot, because you're not going to get the subtitles unless you like put on the closed captioning. So I don't know if they're actually going to show her name when it's said.
I'm looking it up on my blog. Continue.
But Emily's name in the books was like yay big, and it had some apostrophes in it too. I'm pretty sure.
Right.
But what it means is works with her hands. And I was really kind of almost disappointed that they didn't use that name, because they showed she's called works with her hands because she makes she's a very canny, maker of things. She carves wood stuff and just makes stuff. But instead we hear why Ian calls her Emily, because that's kind of because much like us, Ian doesn't remember anybody's Indian name either. So he used to give them and since Anna Paquin wasn't around then, the best he could do was Emily. So yeah, I said I liked that they included the Mohawk without the subtitles, and I almost wish they would have done that more. Whole stretches, just have them talk the Mohawk, and let's notice what they're doing and how they're feeling. That's really kind of cool. So the Mohawks seem to live in a Sadie Hawkins world where the women choose the men they want to be with. They ask the guy out.
I like that.
So, Carol, you'd be in charge of being okay, you over there, hottie.
Oh my God, I'd so be good at that. Imagine a world where you just were wait though. So was good looking dude, do I remember correctly? Was his wife died or something? Because then Ian was like, oh, so, are you going to choose someone else? And he was like, we don't choose, they do, or something like that.
Well, I think the wife dumped him.
Okay. The wife dumped him.
But they have a kid and they're like, oh, well, we're just going to take care of the kid.
Well, see now, and again, here we go. Not explained.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You have to explain it. If you read the books, Diana Gabaldon explains it about how the women were the ones who really sort of like you said, made the decision as far as, okay, I want you. And then if they got married and they had kids and she decided then she was going to move on and you had nothing to say about it. And which it's really interesting. And that the women, not in a, sexual partner way, but the women, when you watch and they're all sitting around and telling discussing strategy and stuff, there's always an elder women sitting there because they were revered as well. You know what I mean? So as a culture, it was great. The women had a lot of power.
Well, look who threw out Ian. Look who tossed him out with the garbage.
Annabelle.
No, I'm not talking about just that, the wife.
Oh, you mean the walk through the woods?
Yes.
Ugh.
Yes.
All right, let's hang on. We have stuff before that.
I know, but I'm saying, like, to your point, like the women were in charge. She's the one that throws him, that makes that decision. He's gone.
Yeah.
I don't know, like.
Well, no, I don't think she made the decision. I think Emily made the decision ultimately.
Well, no, but I mean, like,
she just got the job of taking him the hell out of there. Let's stick to. I have that's down here.
All right. Whoa. So, okay, but I have to circle back to what you said. Like, I mean, I don't know if you're a woman and you make that commitment, and it's not like really necessarily on marriage. They use a lot of euphemisms. They, share her hearth, or we're joined together forever. And I'm sure it's a ceremony of some sort. But could you like Emily dumps Ian because of their spirits. Their spirits are not compatible because of this child thing. I don't know if you could just like wake up one morning and be like, grease lightning, that's stupid. I'm done with you. I'm done. Get by. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if you could just like dump them for no reason at all. I think there would have to be.
She had a reason.
And are you saying that you wanted to know what the reason was, or
no? She had a reason. They were not able to have children together, and she.
No. I'm not talking about Ian and Emily. I'm talking about hot Mohawk dude and his wife who dumped him.
Oh, I don't know. I don't care. That's in the books. I mean, that's in the show. Whatever.
I just like I'm trying to understand you. Yes, I think that the women make the decision. I just am curious about, like, could you dump the guy on a whim, or does there really need to be some sort of a reason why?
Who's going to say you didn't have? I'm going by what I read. I really shouldn't talk with such authority, because it's not like I've done major research on the Mohawk or the, 18th century Native American culture. But as far as I remember from the books, the women had a lot of power, did what they want, could have sex anytime, could, even if they were not, if they weren't married, it wasn't a bad thing for them to show up in Jamie's lair.
Right. They weren't like sluts or anything.
Yeah, it wasn't like that. It wasn't considered that. Right. The women had their own power and their own desires and their own decisions, and they were able to do what they wanted. So yeah, from what I've read and seen, I would assume that was totally fine. Now, I don't know, though. I'm not going to make that call because, but yes, you had a chief and he obviously made the rules. But like I said, women certainly had a lot more power than the white women. You know what I mean? Hi. Excuse me, Tom Christie. How are you? Like,
right. No, very true. All right. So okay. So Emily's most definitely chosen Ian. They are joined together, as they say, and then I don't know if it's the wedding night or just one of the many nights, but there's a whole lot of night.
There was too much night.
I'm like, do they get to be on top too all the time?
Why didn't I like that? I was like, oh no, I don't need to see this. Why?
Because
I feel, you guys, I feel like I'm being discriminatory or something. Why do I like to see Jamie and then those two are together?
Because
I'm just like,
Jamie is like your husband and Ian is like your kid.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Because I love Ian so much. So why would I? Oh no, I don't need to see that. Oh no.
That was, and it's not like we needed to see it because it's like Ian's like, like losing his boyhood, because we've seen him have sex at least twice before.
I was thinking the same thing during the scene. At first I was like, oh, Ian. And I'm like, wait a minute. Ian's hoed around. Like, we caught Ian hoeing around a couple seasons ago.
I mean, is this like sort of how, to show their connection? Like it could be because they were clearly connected.
I thought it was a lovely scene. I will say that. I thought it was very well done. I thought it was very, of once again, female power. She's on top. She's sort of driving that train. And I don't mean that, no pun intended, but I did like that. I just, for some reason, I just didn't want to, I was like, okay, I've seen enough. Thank you.
I feel like that. I mean, for me, it wasn't one of my favorite scenes either. And I think maybe that's why that Ian's a boy. Ian's our boy.
I guess that's it.
He's Ian, even though he's a man.
Yeah.
But he's our boy.
I'd rather see him like, we scoundreling around Edinburgh and like shacking it up for a few, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what it was. It just, no, I think you're right. I think I see him too, like,
I mean, not for nothing. And this is really like, but I mean, you have a wee Ian at home who's like,
oh God.
He's probably that wee Ian's age at this point.
Oh my God, no. I do think you're right. I think I still am looking at wee Ian in a motherly way. And that kind of scares me because, I don't know. It's weird.
Carol, I'm going to reassure you, you're never going to have to watch any more wee Ians have sex.
Hey, there could be a flashback. But where are we? Because I don't want to jump ahead again. I'm forgetting to take notes because I'm so grossed out. I can't watch them.
Yeah. It was a lot. It's a lot.
And then they were they're in the longhouse or the teepee, and Annabeth Gish makes him sing for everyone. And for some reason, I couldn't watch that either.
Well, no, I didn't have a problem watching that. I mean, I didn't really have a problem with the sex either. I just was like, it's a lot, it's a lot. I think they wanted to show their connection and that they have like this spiritual connection. Yeah, so that when the spiritual connection is eventually like, broken, that it makes it even harder because you can really tell that emotionally they were very much connected, and it was hard. It wasn't an easy decision for her to make.
Okay. If you want me to go there right now with the Emily juxtaposition, I will. Like with book Emily versus show.
Yeah.
Emily.
I mean, it's as good a time as any.
Well, I don't know, because I don't think that's quite in my notes yet.
All right. Well, you like just let it spill when we get there. I don't know. I mean, I didn't notice too much difference from book Emily. We don't really meet book Emily. Like, we don't really know her except for what Ian tells us about her. So
I was livid in the book. And if you go back and look at my reads, I was just looking for it and I can't. There are a bunch, excuse me, but I'll have to find them. I couldn't say her name. She was much, in the books, she was endearing. She was sweet in the show. You know what I mean? In the books, like, I remember hating on her so much. Like, she put his ass out in the book. I'll have to find it. I'll have to find
the show too, though.
Tracey, that was like the big joke back then. Carol can't. It was like during chat when we used to have mop chat. Carol can't say her name. Nobody say it. I hated her with the heat of 1,000 suns in the book. So there must have been a lot more as far as her, like, him being devastated and her blowing him off and being like, screw you, don't come back here. I don't know, but I hated her. So in this, I was
fascinating to me
because they showed her reaction. She felt bad. In the books, I don't remember her feeling bad. I remember her just like disposing of her trash.
No, I don't remember seeing a reaction. I think it went down pretty much the same way. But okay, this is an example of something that is in the book and doesn't really make an emotional impact on you. So it's sort of the same way as the baby on the river. It did, you just read it and you're like, and they're like, Emily, our spirits don't meld anymore. This is the way it has to be. I honestly forget if he goes back like he does in the show. I think he does. But like, for whatever reason, like the emotional impact isn't there in the book the way it is in the show. In the show, he goes back and it's clear it's killing her. It's clear she doesn't want to, her mind and her heart don't want to do it, but her, soul, for lack of a better word, knows that she has to in order to have a family. She's not going to have one with Ian. I feel like you maybe think that she was more matter of fact about it in the book.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm sitting here while you're talking, looking for this.
Yeah, well, good luck because the book is 1,000 pages. So good luck with that.
No, I'm looking at my blog posts.
Oh, okay.
I hated her. Tracey, it was way more in the book. It was way more in the book. In the show, I'm like, I get it. Emily just, she wants to have kids and it's not working out with him. And that's the way they reconcile it in their brains, that their spirits aren't in tune and he must not have the Mohawk spirit. And,
I don't think they're reconciling. And I think that's the belief. That's the real, that's the real belief
that's the belief once they reconcile the fact that, like, I want you out because I want to have kids. So, it must be our spirits.
I think I don't know. I flip that. I think that, yes, of course she wants kids, but we can't because our spirits are battling and, your spirit is not strong enough to beat my spirit. So
get out and bring the
hot guy. It's not going to happen.
Here.
So, and I don't know about this, like in terms of if you're a Mohawk woman, is your role in the tribe to procreate and create more Mohawk? In the Catholic Church, that's kind of the role of women, make babies. And maybe that's the same thing in the Mohawk world as well. So I don't know, but I understand what you're saying and I think this is an instance where it probably was more effective. The way she felt and understanding that emotion was more effective in the show than in the book, even though they were told in kind of the same way.
Or she was just a big old bitch in the book.
I don't know, you guys, tell us in the comments because I'm not really remembering that. I'm not remembering her being.
Yeah, but wait, don't tell us in the comments if you've only watched the show because you don't.
No, that's what I'm saying. If you've watched the show and read the book, was she bitchy in the book? You can't answer that if you haven't read the book. Yes, she's totally bitchy in the book. I haven't read it, but I don't like.
Well, I'm not saying she was bitchy. I don't really remember. I just remember loathing her. I couldn't say her name. Now, obviously, that was partially because it's Ian.
Right.
So anybody who's going to wrong Ian is wronging me. You know what I mean? Like
right.
But I just, let's be honest, the book, there's so much more. There's so much more detail. There's so much more story. There's so much more to it. So I'll find it.
Do you feel, all right, I have a question and I don't think people are going to like the answer necessarily. And I'm not even sure I like the answer. Who is more sympathetic of a character, book Ian or show Ian? Or is it like, or is it tied, or can you just not compare the two?
It's the show Ian. 1,000%. Show Ian is more, I think that book Ian is more matter of fact, to use a term that you just used. And book Ian is more like, I don't know.
I shouldn't say in general. I should say as it applies to this particular instance, because I'm almost leaning towards book Ian. I'm sorry, is still really great in this episode. I don't know why I'm saying that.
Is more, well, maybe
I
you're
felt
right.
more of emotional connection to the book, to the way this all went down in the book from Ian's perspective than in the show.
You said who's more sympathetic. So I feel like book Ian is definitely different than show Ian. But
again, I'm talking about how this went down, like, and how, like, when I was reading all of this and when I was watching all of this, I didn't feel as emotionally connected to this as I was watching it as I would expect it to.
Because there's not enough time. Diana Gabaldon is very descriptive, and she jokes around about how, one page of somebody else's book is 10 pages in hers. Like, right. But so, I think so there's just, we're never going to be able to get that much out of Ian, I don't think.
But last week I felt like super emotionally connected to Fergus. And while I still thought this was a great episode and John Bell did like a bang up job,
he always does. He always does.
I still felt like as I was reading this part of the book and reading Ian's experience, and and in the book, he doesn't, obviously you don't see what happens. He tells Marcelly some of it, and he tells Bree some of it. And I guess maybe in the telling of it, I don't know. I felt more of a connection and a sympathy and emotion in the book than I did watching the show.
Yes, I can definitely. Well, look at me. I told you I couldn't even say her name. I hated her. I was so defensive of him.
And maybe that's why. Because they made her way more sympathetic. You got to know her a little more in the show than you did in the book. So it wasn't just all like, oh my God, Ian, let me just hold you because this is awful, so awful for you.
Well, you're seeing I don't really
know who she is.
Yeah, you're seeing her and meeting her.
Yes.
And seeing her when he went back and he went in and realized, what is going on here? She had tears in her eyes. Like,
right.
She felt bad.
Right.
What did you call him?
Mohawk guy.
Hot Mohawk guy from Jersey was like, later on when he thinks he could possibly perish, is like, I want you to go back and be with her and raise my kid, because he knows that she still has love in her heart for Ian too. Well, I'm not saying she doesn't love him. I'm just saying he knows what a tight relationship they have.
Let me tell you this, and I don't know if you noticed this, but go back and watch it. When it's the three of them, when Ian goes back and it's the three of them in the little house or hut or cave or wherever they live.
Yeah.
Look, watch him.
Okay.
It's
hut
like
or cave.
I don't know. I felt like
they're teepees and longhouses.
Okay. It was a big
teepee.
opening.
She's in a teepee.
That wasn't a teepee. It was a longhouse and like a roundhouse.
I don't know. I thought that one was a teepee, the two of them.
Oh, maybe.
I thought he even went in like it was like a canvas.
Whatever.
It's not whatever to me. You know me. I'm into this historical stuff. I like
watch Hot Mohawk Dude. Hot Mohawk Dude does not like any of this any better than the other two. Hot Mohawk Dude in that scene is not, well, like, suck it, Ian Murray. You suck,
Oh, no,
man.
They were friends.
Hot Mohawk Dude knows just what he's doing. Again, remember, they choose you. It's not like Hot Mohawk Dude stole her, because Hot Mohawk Dude can only do so much to tempt her or draw her in, but she has to be the one to choose him.
Okay.
So she's made that choice. The whole thing sucked for all three of them, and it was really clear on everybody's faces and in what everybody was doing. And it was really interesting. And I think maybe that's where in the books, you're 100% with Ian, but in the show, in this part, you just kind of felt really bad for everybody.
You see it from her perspective as well.
Right. And you see it from Hot Mohawk Dude's perspective.
And how about Alexander Cameron?
Oh, yeah. Well, let me just do a little, because I know we've talked a lot about this. I liked, yeah. It was so bad. Hot Mohawk Dude is like, go to the woods and pray, Ian, but first put on some pants. Because he must put on pants because he has pants, like when they come find him again. I do love in the end that he's in the woods and he says the Hail Mary, and then he's like, also, Mohawk God, if you're up there, like, can you, he's kind of like, this whole thing is about like melding two worlds together, and he was doing it there too, where he was calling upon his Catholic persona and then his Mohawk persona as well. But yeah, she loses the baby, then she loses another one, and then that's it for him. They kick him out. The other thing I had to laugh was, whoever the woman was who like let him out of town, and she's like, here's 3 days worth of food. Like,
here's a canteen.
Here's a canteen about this big, and 3 days worth of food that's about the size of like this candle.
But not only that, it's Ian. He's okay.
Yeah. I was like,
he'll figure it out.
He's still a growing boy. Like, that's about a day. That's about a half a day's worth of food for Ian.
But like, he's like she said, he's a hunter. He can figure out, he can find himself some water. Yes. He can light himself a fire. He will be fine. He does not need you and your dumbass little canteen.
But yeah, so he does convince her, I guess, that, the Mohawk lady, that he can go back, and they go in, he talks to them. And I even wrote down, Emily's now with Hot Mohawk Dude, who does seem pretty upset in his defense. So it's just a really unhappy situation for all involved, and you feel for everybody. And then we go back to present day, and now we meet Scotchie. Douchebaggy, should we call him?
The whole thing was so dumb. The whole thing was so dumb. I'm sorry. Did that happen in the books?
So this is what I was looking through the book before we came on air to see. They do meet Scotchie, and he is Scotchie Cameron. He's another Indian agent. So he's an agent like Jamie. He's like Jamie, but for farther west. He does seem to like not be too into the Mohawk. Clearly, he's not happy that there's some Mohawk at the camp at the moment. And he's like, but the Cherokee have sold him some land in Tennessee, even though it's against the treaty for settlers to go there.
I took issue with this.
I don't know if that's from the book or not. I wasn't able to find it. I don't think this dual business, like I said, I don't think any of that was from the book. What was your issue?
I took issue with, he tells Jamie he bought land from the Cherokee in Tennessee. Jamie wants no part of it because there's a treaty between the Indians and the king that the white man won't go too far west. They have a line.
Right.
What I don't understand is if the Cherokee sold it to Alexander Cameron, what's the problem? I'm guessing Jamie's mad because he knows from Bree what will happen. But Alexander is right. The Cherokee chose to sell it to him. So I was sitting here like, I understand what the problem is, duh. And the king, there's a treaty, and they said you can't go you can't go farther west. Well, then why is the Cherokee selling the land and allowing him to go farther west? And Jamie's coming down on Alexander, and who wouldn't, because he's obviously a chooch. But why? I'm sorry, Alexander's choochy as he is right. They chose to sell him this property in Tennessee, and they weren't supposed to, so they were breaking the rules just as much.
I agree with all that. I think what you just said is very I think the truest part of everything you said is that Jamie knows what's going to happen. And he sees this as the first greens of the movement west. And he sees, it's going to be 60 years from now. That could be a lifetime. Jamie will be long gone by that point. Bree and Roger might not even be around by that point. But it's like the first. It's like if you have like one of those big domino thingamajiggers, like all over the place, it's the first domino to fall. And Jamie this Alexander Cameron doesn't know anything that's going to happen, but Jamie knows. And Jamie knows things have started. They're not going to, it's going to take 60 years for things to get to a bad point. But this is the start. Bree is not making this up. This is going to happen. So I think that's certainly weighing on him. I don't know. It's kind of like the whole the Cherokee, settlers aren't allowed to go there, but if the Cherokee sell it to us, then it's okay. It's kind of like a little bit of getting around the rules a little bit. We're
talking about a treaty. Not rules. We're talking about an agreement between the Cherokee and the king. Correct?
Right. What? No. Yes, but the treaty says settlers can't go that far, can only go to a certain point west. They can't cross it. No, I get it. I get what you're saying.
So why are they selling why are they selling it to the white man? If that was the rule.
Oh no, because it's they figured out oh, okay, well we could get some money from this, and maybe they need the money.
And because they don't know any better is, I guess,
probably, yeah, because they don't have the benefit of Bree, sat on the porch, ready to spill all that history.
So why didn't Jamie at that point go to Chief Bird and say, everyone in my life has dreams, and you shouldn't be selling your land out in Tennessee.
But it's not Chief Bird that sold the land. It's some other Cherokee tribe. No, Tennessee's fine. I mean, Tennessee, well.
Yeah, well, Chief Bird's going to get the message across. I'm sure the chiefs all meet.
I'm trying to think where they are. I think Tennessee is right next door, actually. When I think about it. Or is it Kentucky? No, it's Tennessee, I think. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I see your point.
Sorry.
What are you doing?
Getting crackers, but I swear I'm not going to chew.
She's going to just let them dissolve in her mouth.
You guys, premium crackers dissolve in your mouth.
I thought you were getting ice cream out because that doesn't make noise.
I just let my own wee and have the last, oh my God, amazing Yasso Greek yogurt bar. Have you guys tried those?
No, I have not.
They're low cal, amazing. It tastes like coffee with chocolate chips. Anyway, I don't know. I didn't. You know what? I don't even know why I'm acting oh my God, I can't crunch. I don't even know why I'm acting like I have a problem or I have an argument. I don't. I'm just making the point that, excuse me, I found it very interesting that there was a treaty and they were going.
So I think here's the thing. I think that whoever the Cherokee were that sold it to Scotchie, sold the land to Scotchie is one thing. But I think not all of the Indians are on board with that. And I think that's Scotchie's point, is that one reason he's not happy to see the Mohawk here is because he doesn't want them to find out that he's bought this land, because they're going to be pissed and they're going to cause trouble for him.
Because there was fighting.
Right. There was infighting. Right. All right.
I find that very interesting compared to Scottish Highlanders. There was fighting among the clans.
Right. Can we leave the Indians for a while and go the Indian village and go back to the ridge, because this was a great scene.
Please.
Okay. So we are back at the ridge, and Claire feels that Malva is going to need some practice, because Malva is her assistant. Once Claire starts performing surgeries on the people of the ridge, with the ether. She's going to need Malva to administer the ether. And Malva is going to be the anesthesiologist, if you will.
Was this like pre-admission testing?
And Malva needs to practice so that she doesn't like totally kill anyone.
Yeah.
So I guess that Josiah and Lizzie have volunteered or been drafted. This scene is all from the books. This was really, I think this was the first time we saw the ether being used in the books. Claire did not, to the best of my remembering, I don't know about you, but Claire did not test it on herself or anything like that. Or if she did, she only tells us about it like after the fact, whatever. But this, I think, is really the first time Claire really tests the ether to see if it works. Mm-hmm. And so Lizzie and Josiah are like, they're like, oh, we're gonna, put you to sleep with this magical stuff in this bottle. And they're like, oh. And then it was so hilarious when Josiah was like, okay, well, I'll go first. And Malva's like, oh, Joe, you're so brave. And Lizzie was like, oh, hell no. Mitts off my man. Thanks, Joe. I'm like really happy that you're going to protect my honor, but no, I'm going first. See that, Malva?
Yeah.
Bitch?
Get away from my manses.
So she goes under, and the whole thing is the reactions are just stellar. They're just so great. The best part is like, Claire's like taking notes in her wee book, and Malva's like, this is really cool. And, and Malva's like saying to Joe, like, we can cut, like, Claire, Mrs. Fraser, whatever, says that we can cut them open and take stuff out of them, and they won't even feel it, and they won't even wake up. And Claire's like, yep, there's only one way to try, like, to find out. And then she proceeds to slice Lizzie's finger off.
I was like, couldn't you do it on the pinky of her left hand? Come on now. She works with her hands on the ridge. Like,
no, that's Emily works with her hands.
Everybody works with their hands. Like, you at least do like something that's not going to hurt.
That's going to hurt.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to hurt like the devil when she wakes up. I mean, it's like a paper cut.
Not in the movies and TV. It doesn't hurt in the movies and TV.
That's the worst because she got it. It was like, torture, some sort of weird torture device.
Right.
So she hacks her finger open, and then she's like, okay, Lizzie, wake up. And Lizzie's like, okay, so when are you going to do it? And and they all laugh and laugh and laugh. And then Claire's like, well, the only way to find out it's real is to do it to Joe. So hop on the table. And so they do it to him too. And Lizzie is so funny. She's just like, Jesus, Mary, Joseph. What else about this? Do you think that Claire sterilized that mask?
Okay. Because I've been waiting to say that. First of all, Malva's like, ether smells. And Claire reprimands her, don't breathe that in. That could, whatever she says to her, like, you could go under too. And I start thinking, shouldn't they have masks on? I know you were talking about the ether mask, so hang on, I'm getting there. And I'm like, shouldn't they have masks on? And then I start thinking, okay, Claire must know that, like, the surgical field is not sterile. You know what I mean? Like, why bother with masks when we don't have gloves? We haven't brought in the machines that sterilize all this stuff, so we're not going to worry about it.
Well, also at this point, they don't need to be sterile, really, because they're not operating on anything. They're just testing out the ether.
But yes, that mask now has been on who else? Claire, Josiah, Lizzie. Anyone else I'm forgetting?
Malva probably put it on, when Claire wasn't looking, just to, be a little sneaky girl.
Yes. So I agree. I hope she's cleaning that sucker off with some alcohol, pouring some whiskey over it.
In the books, that does happen where like people almost pass out. Like Malva might have almost passed out because they get too close to the ether and they breathe it in too much. Mm-hmm. That absolutely happens in the books. So it's very interesting though, when they're bringing Josiah back, they're talking about like, Malva was like, my father would say that this is like, only God has the right to do this, that this is the devil's work, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And it was all very interesting and kind of a good point. Like, I mean, one could argue that fact, like, do people really have the right to sort of take life and death into their own hands like that? I mean, it was interesting, and it was interesting, Malva's nothing if not smart as a whip, really. And I mean, she's also cuckoo, but she's making a lot of really good points if you're thinking about this in a philosophical way. But then Claire was like, well, Malva, you better not like ixnay on telling your dad that, because then you're not going to get to come here anymore. And Malva's like, I know, I'm sorry, I won't tell. So that was a great scene. That was a fantastic scene. But we're back to the Cherokee and the ceremonial delivery of the guns. So Bird, who sings in the morning, wants to show us his new wife. And I was like, oh my God, is his new wife Emily?
You caught me with a cracker in my mouth. I totally was like, I thought they were going to go there, but they didn't.
I mean, but like, were you like, was it really her? Like, I forgot to watch this the second time. I forgot to look for this. Like, did he introduce Ian and Jamie to them? And you saw it through Ian's eyes. And it was one of those deals where like, he's thinking about Emily all the time. So like, it looks like she's sitting there, but it's not her. It's really like some old Mohawk lady. I don't know. Yeah, but it was weird. It looked exactly like her.
I thought it looked like her. I didn't know if it looked exactly like her. He did make the point of saying, Alexander Cameron was like, oh, they've brought this woman here to meet the chief or whatever, to be his wife. So I thought, dun, 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 what's coming? And then nothing. So I was like, oh, all right. They just,
but it would have been, I mean, I knew it couldn't have been because her husband is there. Hot Mohawk dude. So
yeah, it didn't.
But it was real. It was weird that the actor was so looked so much like her. It was a little weird.
Why? Why did we have to know that they were bringing in a wife for him?
I don't know. Because again, I was like, did she choose this? Did she choose Bird who sings in the morning? Maybe she doesn't get to choose. Maybe things aren't as good for the women in the Mohawk as we thought.
Well, I think that's...
I mean, I guess maybe it's privileged. Well, no, I don't know. I don't know the relationship between the Cherokee and the Mohawk. Is this like a thing of privilege that you win the prize? You get to go be the wife of the chief of the Cherokee.
Yes.
Or is it like, we stole you, Mohawk lady, and you're going to have to be this guy's wife now? We stole you to be his wife.
Was that the deal? She was Mohawk?
Yes.
So they were making an alliance.
Maybe. Could be. But it was from Hot Mohawk Dude's tribe, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I was super confused by all that because it really did look like Emily.
I'll tell you what. Maybe that was why the Mohawk were there in the first place, was to deliver this woman.
I think they were. They were there to trade some things.
That's what it was.
Scotchie says it at some point. He says they're here to trade and give bring a wife to.
I was looking at it more from the Chief Bird's perspective. Like, why are they telling us that they're? But now I get it. It's how they were going to get the Mohawk there, because it was odd to have the Mohawk there.
Right.
Ian was like, "What are they doing there?" I felt like we were at a school dance and the boy we liked showed up.
I know. But I don't know. She must have reminded Ian of Emily, whatever, because the next thing you know, Ian is pulling a knife on Hot Mohawk. They're like going at it. One's pounding the other one.
Did Ian pull a knife?
Pounding this one.
I don't think there was a knife. They were just.
No, Yeah. They just started pounding each other at that
I
point.
kind of felt like I wasn't sure if I agreed with Jamie stopping it. I was like, maybe you should just let them duke it out. But
I know they had it coming. Also, no, you know what? Weren't Ian's weapons locked up in the box? Speaking of that, Jamie's revolver was locked up in the box too. So how did Ian get it out later on?
I don't know. I thought that was a little.
All right. So yeah. So I don't. Maybe I have it written down. Ian pulls a knife on Hot Mohawk. I don't know. I don't really remember. But no, he does, because I felt bad for Hot Mohawk because Ian pulls a knife on him and they start fighting. Then Scotchie pulls a knife on him and has him buy a knife too. It was kind of like poor Hot Mohawk. He's just getting knives all over the place. So Scotchie's a real douchebag.
I have the funniest thing I ever saw was a Mohawk whining that he wanted an apology. Like the Mohawk were supposed to be so like, this is a Mohawk. And he's like, you need to apologize to me.
So there's no apologies. They're going to duel. Dun, dun, dun. This is not in the books, I don't believe. And I don't know, like, would the Mohawk duel in the same way as, the Brits would, or the Scotch would, or the Americans would? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, Ian Cameron was the one who challenged him, right?
Right, but like, I don't know. Like, I feel like a duel, like a traditional duel like this, where you go like 10 paces, turn around and shoot, is a very like, British kind of thing, or it's, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's fine. I don't know. It was a little odd. It was a little odd.
I thought it was a lot odd. I was like, why? And you're drunk. Why didn't they just go over and be like, you're drunk, go sleep it off?
I'm surprised Jamie didn't do it.
What was the duel for? It wasn't for the honor of a woman. It wasn't for anything.
I don't even remember now. Scotchie smacked Mohawk around. Did Mohawk pulled a knife on him, and then Scotchie pulled a gun on him, and they were sort of an impasse. And then Scotchie was like, "This is how we're gonna solve it right now with a duel."
Dumb. Whenever I have a reaction like that, you guys, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, dumb. And in my head, I'm thinking, please don't let Diana Gabaldon have written this.
Well,
please don't let this be in the books.
Please don't let this
be something Diana wrote that I'm calling dumb.
That should be on one of the mop t-shirts. Please don't let this be in the books.
Because, oh my God, if I insulted that woman, my life will be over.
All right, let's move on. So Ian and Jamie talked. Ian's sort of sitting around and Jamie comes up, and this is a lovely scene. Ian is saying, he named the baby in his head. Again, much like we do. He calls her Isabel, or he said it in this, it's spelled with all sorts of letters that
I wrote it down as Ishmael. I did think he kind of came out of that with nowhere.
I don't remember it being spelled like that in the books. I thought see, they're not going to see the spelling unless they put on the closed caption.
But there was more to it. We named her. In this, it was like, and they didn't even give her a name. They didn't even. I called her Isabel.
Isabel.
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever. But it's just he says he can't bear the thought of her soul lost. And Jamie tells me about Faith. Now, I don't know why I thought Jamie, he already knew about Faith, but maybe he didn't. And he wasn't reacting necessarily in a way that was you know, oh, you're burying the lead, Uncle Jamie. Like, this is a big story. Like, what the hell did you never tell me this for? Like, he just kind of sort of listened and didn't really react in a way that made it look like it was news to him. But I can't imagine a scenario where Jamie would have told him that story explicitly either. So I don't really know. But Jamie tells him about Faith. And then, he says, we shall ask my daughter to look for yours in heaven. I shall find her there.
And first, he says, first is life, then is death, then we come home to the Lord. And we never know how long the first will last. And that Carol needed to take a break at this point because I was relating to all of this conversation big time. And
yeah.
And then he started to talk about Faith and everything. So yeah, so that got me right here.
That might have been the best part of the episode, I think. It was really lovely.
It was a great scene.
It was a great scene. Jamie and Ian have such a connection. They just really care about each other. Jamie's like a father to him. Ian just wants to make Jamie happy and please him. And it's really hard for him now that he sort of feels like he lives in two worlds. And that's a good thing about the end of the episode, skipping ahead a little bit, like that he has a sense that he knows how to live in the two worlds a little better. And maybe he can be better for Jamie. He can be a better like friend.
I don't know. I didn't really understand it. I didn't really. I was like, you've been Mohawk and Scottish like this whole time. Like, what? I didn't really understand what changed. I didn't really get it.
In his mind, he's reconciled. Yes, he's been. It's those two identities have been at like this with him in the past. Now they're like this. Now he realized that he can. If he felt Mohawk, he felt guilty for not feeling Scottish. If he felt Scottish, he felt guilty for not feeling Mohawk. Now he knows that those two parts of him can coexist. That's how this all sort of resolved itself, which I thought was nice.
Tracey and I are Irish American and Italian American. And sometimes it's hard to get those two things to reconcile as well.
But that means that we really like carbs.
Oh, it's so bad. So bad. Potatoes and pasta. Potatoes and pasta.
All right. Okay. We're back to the duel. Ian finds Hot Mohawk. I guess he's like unlocked Jamie's gun out of the box. He's like, here, take this gun. Give me your throwing thing as collateral. What the hell was that called? It's not a hatchet. It's not a club. It's not a boomerang.
I need to look into that because see, that's the kind of thing where the historical end of it gets me, and I love it. And I want to go find one. I want one.
So Ian, Hot Mohawk is like, if something happens to me, go back to her, take care of our son.
Mm-hmm.
And and he's feeling this. Like, this is why. Yeah, I really like Hot Mohawk guy. He's really sincere. He knows, like, you can't even call him a dick because he knows that what happened, I don't even want to say what he did. What happened was just sucky for all involved.
Yeah, he was a good guy. I didn't have a problem with him.
Yeah. Now, I mean, I feel, in fact, I think if I remember correctly, and it's the same guy in season 4, he was kind of a dick, but I don't know, maybe not anymore. I don't know. But he really, like, it was the admission that it wasn't your fault, Ian. It was nobody's fault. This is the way it went down. But I would still like to try to make things better if I can.
Right.
And that was kind of his way. So I like that a lot. So then Bird with fight with Champ. Oh, yeah. So Bird assumes in the morning and Jamie go off into the longhouse or whatever. Jamie spills the beans about his wife and his daughter are like seers or whatever. and he tells all about the future. And what's Bird gonna do? Like, okay, I'll tell my kids, and hopefully they'll tell their kids, and somebody will do something.
You gotta love Native American culture that he was like, right, okay, yeah, all right, cool. Like, it's not like other. If Jamie went and told that story on the Ridge, they'd be like, go get my gun. This guy's a wackadoo. It reminded me of, have you ever seen the Saturday Night Live skit where Kate McKinnon is playing the Long Island medium? And she's like, I'm out in Long Island. She's like, everybody knows me. They don't think it's weird if I come up to them in the middle of the grocery store. And she goes up to this woman and she's like, I see your dead husband. And the woman turns around. She's like, yeah, okay, go ahead. Tracey, it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. You guys, Saturday Night Live, Kate McKinnon playing the Long Island medium. Watch it. Anyway, continue.
Can we say one thing sort of as a side here?
We can say many things.
Why has Sam Heughan not been on Saturday Night Live? Do you remember when he was in that Spy Who Dumped Me movie with Kate McKinnon? And I was like, and this was like 3 years ago. And Outlander was pretty big back then. And I was like, it's a shoo-in. It's a shoo-in. He's friends with Kate McKinnon now. He's funny. He could do it. Like, why has no one from Outlander been on Saturday Night Live? Forget Sam. Katrina is like in a movie that like she was snubbed for an Oscar. Okay. She's super famous.
Probably
Who do
because
we have to talk to get these people on Saturday Night Live?
Probably because they'd have to come here and stay here for a full week in rehearsals, and they don't have the time, and they don't live here.
What the hell else? Don't they live in Los Angeles? I don't think it'd be that hard to do for a week, and I don't even think you need a week. I think they start production on like Tuesday. Do
they live in LA? I don't know. I think
Katrina lives in LA.
They lived in the UK.
I don't know about Sam or not. I think Sam lives in Glasgow for some reason. I don't know. I don't know these things because I'm not a stalker. But I do.
I know, right?
I think that
you and I are like, I don't know.
I think Katrina's been Los Angeles based like since before Outlander because she was like just a regular actor. I don't know. But the point being, like, anybody can be on Saturday Night Live. They'll like whatever. I was like, I could have sworn that like at the beginning of the season they were going to get one of them on there. And I don't even know which one it would be.
Pretty much anyone in that cast would be funny as hell on Saturday Night Live.
Yes, but they're only going to book either Katrina or Sam, and they probably would go with Sam.
All right,
first.
I won't do the huge umbrella, but like both of them would be hilarious on that show. Like they both have great sense of humor.
Yes,
They're both they don't take themselves too seriously.
Agree.
You know what I mean? Like they would both be really good.
But I'm just like, you've done a movie with Kate McKinnon, for crying out loud, a comedy. You were funny. What the hell? Like, what do we have to do? Lauren Michaels, if you're watching this, what the hell? Stranger things happened.
I am sure that Lauren Michaels is watching this. What did you think about the whole thing with Jamie in the TP, like playing God sort of, and telling like Chief Bird, like, my wife and daughter had dreams, and in exactly 60 years, this is going to happen. Like, I don't know. A little bit of me was a little like,
here's what I think. I don't think Jamie understands the magnitude of this. I think Jamie thinks that this is going to be like, yes, Bree says 8,000 people died and whatever. But I just don't think that one person telling him something like this is really bringing home the magnitude, the enormity of this,
of the whole war, or of
the
Trail
whole
of Tears.
of what happens to the Indians. I mean, don't forget, like Jamie, like talk about putting yourself in that mindset. These people have never been west of Fraser's Ridge, really. Jamie, at this point, has never even been north of, maybe he's been to Virginia. I don't really remember. But at this point, I don't think he's been north of Virginia. So his perspective of the country and of where he lives is just so small. And this idea of west to Jamie is kind of like this, like, you might as well be in the North Pole. I don't think that he gets it. So in some regard, maybe it can help things if he tells Chief Beardbird this. And I mean, I do think that he understands
Chief Beaver, Chief Justin Bieber.
Chief Beaver. I think that Jamie, I mean, clearly he knows, he has a sense of that Chief Bird is not going to like laugh him out of the longhouse when he's like, yeah, my wife is a seer and my daughter's a seer. Chief Bird's gonna be like, oh, really? Tell more, because I don't like totally on board with that.
Love that.
So he knows that he can tell, like, he can't tell like Major McDonald. He can't tell like Scotchie. They'd laugh him out the yin yang. But like, this is somebody who he can tell, who will believe him, and who may have an impact on what he sees, what he sees, but he doesn't see the enormity of it. That's what I got. That's all I got. But so he does think that maybe he can make a difference because he's sort of naive in a way. Do you know what I mean? Like he just doesn't have the wherewithal, I guess, to see just how massive and far-reaching this is going to be. That's what I think.
I don't know. And I'm sorry to you guys who haven't read the books and are probably like, oh, for the love of God, we don't care what happened in the books. But I'm like, did this happen in the books? Because I don't remember, other than like the fact that he was sort of playing both sides. I don't remember him playing God quite so much. Ever.
I feel like this did happen. I feel like maybe not in this context, or maybe some other time. But there's a lot of like, when you're talking about like the Mohawk, the Cherokee, whatever, there are a lot of people who see the future and are do like, I think there's some older woman who's like the wise woman who sees and like recognizes it in Claire, and there's the whole like, when your hair turns white, you're gonna like have the power of the world, blah 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 blah. So I don't want to say it's not in the books, because I think it probably is at some point, but I just don't remember how exactly it went down.
All right.
All right. So it's dueling time. We got some dueling to do. Yeah, Scotchie turns early. He's a cheater. He's the douchebag and the cheater. Ian sees it and he's like, hell no. And he like whips the like whatever the hell that's called, knocks the gun out of Scotchie's hand. He's like, cheater! And everyone's like, ooh. And then I guess Jamie being in charge of this duel. I don't know how he got that job. You wouldn't like Chief Bird be in charge of the duel?
Jamie's in charge of everything.
That's just so dumb. This duel was kind of dumb. But so Jamie's like, well, you still get your shot, Hot Mohawk. And of course, like everyone is want to do in every duel ever except Hamilton, where this doesn't happen. Like if you sort of get the shot by default, you just go boom, and there you go. And
but I kind of had to laugh. I was like, he's one of the Mohawk, and he's just gonna like walk away and be like, this will be harder for him. Sorry. I am sorry.
I think you've learned your lesson, Scotchie McGee.
I'm sorry. I don't know. I wasn't there, but I really think he would have handled that a little differently.
I don't know. whatever. All right. So Ian gives back the little bracelet thingy, and he's like, God chose you to be with her. He's reconciled in his head, and then he like says a little like prayer, thank you, or whatever, and lets the little medallion thingy go as well.
And so, I have, as soon as he did that, I would keep that shit. It might be worth something. Like, I was like, what are you doing? I don't know. I don't
just make more.
I guess I'm a keepsake person. I would never have gotten rid of that ever. I would have kept that forever.
That's because Ian isn't a girl and like not in high school.
Excuse me, but I have a boy who is in high school, but he
keeps all the girl stuff.
I can't even get him to throw out his Japanese soda bottle after he has sushi.
Odd. Your kid is just odd like that. No, you've said that he just he's not. You said it yourself. He's quirky. He's unusual. He keeps all sorts of shit. You're like he kept this napkin from the other day because he liked the color of it. I'm sorry. Like he's say a collector. She has complained, you guys. She has complained so much about this.
It's because his room's a mess.
Okay. All right. So Ian realizes that he can be in both worlds, as we've talked about before. And I thought that was really nice. Like, it was a really nice tie it up in a bow. You can tell he's unburdened. Like, he feels a lot better he's reconciled all the Emily stuff. He's reconciled his identity as a Mohawk with his identity as a Scot, and he can live with both. And both can live within him. And Uncle Jamie's like, yeah, I don't care who you are. Just get on your horse because I'm ready to go home.
Yeah, he was tired. He didn't even care about having any nookie with Claire. He just wanted to go the hell to bed.
So we're back at the Ridge. And now it's Lizzie and Kezzy.
What was that scene for?
It was so that we could see Lizzie and Kezzy being super cute.
Was it so we could remember that Lizzie and Kezzy live there? Like, what? What was the scene for?
Oh, I thought it was super cute. It was adorable.
It was cute, but it was filler. It was filler. It was cute filler.
I guess, but like, I think you're starting to see that Lizzie is a little bit into Josiah, but she's also a little bit into Kezzy.
I think that you're seeing a lot further into the future, like Claire and Bree. I'm not seeing that. I'm just seeing that she's, sure she's got a nice little bud relationship with the two of them. I just thought I was like, what? Why are we seeing like? We have a quick filler scene where Lizzie tells Kezzy about the ether and what it's like to fall asleep to it. And Kezzy tells her she's not afraid of much because that Lizzie, she's one tough cookie.
No, the part of the scene that was really great when she was like, and then they go like this and you fall asleep right away. And she like touches his face. And then she's like, they're all like, super cute. A little crushing going on there. All right. So Malva wants to know about Claire's wee book. She's like, can I read your wee book? Claire's like, sure, read it. And so Malva's going through her little like, quirky, crazy eyes. And she's like, oh, why do you make these drawings? And Claire's like, well, so that people will remember, I can remember what I did. And I can teach other people like you, Malva. You're doing so good in your training. And I was like, thank you. Thanks. My brother thinks you're a witch.
But I liked that Malva said, like, but from what I've seen in these drawings, there's no sorcery going on here.
Right. There's no spells in that wee book, but it is enchanting. So Jamie's back. Jamie's like, I'm back. Let's do it in the barn.
No. He's like, I'm back. And Claire's like,
let's do it in the barn.
Jamie's like, oh, for God's sake, I'm really tired. Okay. I had a long day, Sassenach. Okay. I'm sorry.
Long day of riding. I need a little rest first. Right. He is going to resign. He's ready to like start switching sides. He's going to resign as an Indian agent. It's time, Sassenach.
Yeah.
Time to put the plan in motion.
Yeah.
And Claire's like, no, it's time to start getting busy. Yeah, I agree. It's time to start getting busy, Jamie, but that's not what I'm thinking about is plans. I'm thinking about right here, right now. So they start, and then you see and they're like, they sort of like pan this way, and you say, like creepy. And Malva is watching them.
So when she undid his coat or his vest or something. And then he like took his shirt off. And I'm thinking to myself, really? You two are in the barn. You get it? Like, this could be fast. Like, what are you doing? Why are you taking, what kind of Harlequin romance is this? Like, why are you taking your shirt off? Like, and so I start typing. They get busy in the barn and I can't really figure out. And then I see Malva watching them and I'm like, oh, now I see. They had to make this scene as interesting as possible. So she's watching from back here.
She's watching from outside.
My girl's a dirty bird.
Malva is creepy ass. I do love how they like sort of show her like tiptoeing to see more, and then
they cut it. That was beautiful. Her on her toes, and they cut. I'm like, I'm watching it like this is a wonderful piece of. Oh my God, it was so good. She's a kooky McCooker pants.
We're starting to see that she's like...
I shouldn't say that. That doesn't really denote kooky. You know, you could see somebody being watchful. But like she chased Claire out there. Like she followed her. Claire was like, can you stay here? And I'm thinking... Don't leave her in there with your brother. She's gonna draw some sorcery. And she's like, can you stay here and like hold down the fort? Whatever she said to her. Wait, Claire hears Jamie's bag, goes to greet him in the barn. Oh, no, that's all right. And she took off. So yeah, that's a little like, wow, what's up that all? She just wanted to listen. You know what I mean? Like she just wanted to go and listen to their conversation, having no idea they were about to get it on.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, like I don't think she thought Jamie's home. Claire must be going out there to ride him like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Like, I don't think she thought that. I think, who would? Would you have thought that? I mean, seriously.
I 100% thought that.
Really? That Claire was running out to the barn to go shtup him?
Well, I knew that, but I 100% thought Malva knew that.
Oh.
I don't think Malva was like, I'm going to just go see what they're talking about. Like, you know, their day-to-day, like, you know, witty repartee about their day, whatever. Like, that's so interesting to me. Wait, what are they doing? Wait, what? Oh, my eyes! My eyes!
Why would Malva think, oh, Claire went out to greet her husband who's been away for a few days in the barn. They must be having sex. Like, I don't think
Claire and Jamie, and she's probably and you know seen them interact before.
It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter.
Maybe she was finished in the barn in cleaning up, whatever, and she was leaving to go home.
That's right.
And she started hearing like, oh, Jamie.
She was.
And then you hear.
I knew the minute Claire locked the door. Like Claire walked into the barn and kind of like locked it, and I was like,
"Can you do that? Isn't the barn like have this big open space? Like
no, whatever door she went in, she turned around and locked it, and I thought, oh
my God,
so
and that's it.
What a tangled web we weave
when we are creepy ass spires like Malva.
Malva is so good. And once again,
he's so good.
I'm really not quite sure what her brother is doing on the show. We're not doing on the show. We're now halfway through the series and season. I mean, and he has gotten maybe 4 lines. So.
But Carol, I'm telling you, like in the books, he's really not a major character.
Tracey, I read the books just like you did. I know. But you haven't seen him in other shows. He's a giant presence. So to have him be a nobody, I have to believe something's coming down the pike because he would never have taken this role.
I guess we'll have to say, we'll have to wait and see, as they say. So what's your overall thoughts on this episode?
It was a lot of backstory. It was explaining Ian and why Ian is the way he is. That's what I thought. I mean, obviously there was a lot more to it as far as, the future and Jamie trying to help out Bird and the Cherokee. And, there's a lot. It was, to me, it was an explanation episode where they're explaining to you what's what and why it is that way. It's funny how when the season first started and I was like, 8 episodes, like, how are they going to handle this or whatever? I thought it was an interesting episode just for the fact that it gave us, a lot of backstory and
it answered a lot of questions.
It answered questions. It explained some things and it set up others.
Yes. Yeah. I would say, and I sort of hinted at this, like I felt like, and you know what, the next time I watch it, I might feel completely different, but I didn't feel quite as emotionally connected with this episode as I have with the past couple of ones. Even though a lot of this episode is straight from the book as well. I don't know. Like I was trying to figure out why. Like, is it because most of it was set in one place? Is it because there were a lot of characters who aren't our main characters who we're more invested with? We're not as invested with the Mohawk and the Cherokee.
Mm-hmm.
We're invested with Ian, but and maybe we're even not as invested with Ian anymore since he really wasn't on most of last season.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like this episode. It wasn't, in terms of the 4 we've gotten so far, it probably is on the lower end for me, but it still doesn't mean it's a bad episode by any means.
No,
I really good stuff about it.
It made me realize that this is a very difficult season for them to have to get across to the viewers. This is not an easy season. You know what I'm saying? For these writers. So I can't say anything. I can't say because it's certain book stuff that I'm just like, how are they going to do this? Are they going to do this? I don't think they're going here. I don't think they're going to do this. We'll see.
Everything that I've said, I don't think they're going to do so far they've done. So I'm out on that. And, I'm not taking that action anymore.
Well, if you want to have a 2-minute conversation at the end, we can do that.
Okay. All right. Well, because we're kind of at the end. So let's do that.
So let's sign off.
Okay. What did we forget to do again?
Oh my God. Subscribe. Please subscribe.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel, you guys. Let's see how soon we can break. We're at like 37 or 3,800, I think, subscribers. Let's break 4,000. Tell your friends. Tell your friends' friends. Tell everyone we're like really great and funny and fun and whatever. So subscribe.
Let's be honest. Do you subscribe to channels? I subscribe all the time. If I don't want to forget a channel, I subscribe all the time. So it's really not that huge a thing.
I mean, make it so easy for you because the button is just sitting there all the time. So
yeah.
you might as well just work your way on over to it and click it.
We had you in mind. We just tried to make it so easy.
I know.
Just click it.
Super easy. So click the button. We have merch, you guys. Merch. Buy the merch. And
there will be more merch. Yes. The
every
merch
day.
Is being added. Yes.
Buy the merch. You can buy the merch at myoutlanderpurgatory.com. We're on Twitter. We are on Facebook. We are on Instagram. We say this every week, but we're on TikTok and we'll get something up there sooner rather than later. We're making some plans. People are already starting to make some plans for TikToks when we're in Scotland, which we are going to be now in less than a month. We leave for Scotland. The Scotland trip begins a month from yesterday. So the content, I can only imagine the content from that. It's going to be really, really great. So that's why you want to be following us on all of these various outlets because you don't want to miss any of the fun. Okay.
Right.
So We will see you next week. If you want to stick around for just a few minutes because we have to go to bed, to talk about whatever it is that Carol's going to talk about from the books, do it. But otherwise, have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Excuse me, spoiler alert.
Okay, Carol, what do you want to talk about?
Claire's hair.
Oh God, whether
there's no way they're doing that. There's no way they're doing that. Zero, zilcho. There's no way they are going to. What did they? She chopped off all her hair, right?
I'm not taking that action. Again, I was like, there's no way they're doing Henri Christian. No way. What was the other thing I said? There's no way. I don't remember the other thing, but there was another thing that I was like, no way they're doing it. And
I think they'll do something equally as crazy, but putting Kate in a bad wig for I just don't see it.
I don't know. I think they're going to do it.
I think they'll do something equally as wacko. I just don't know what it's going to be. Guys, I really want your opinions, although it's kind of hard because to comment, I guess we can't really have spoilers, can we? Spoiler comments, or at least make sure you mark it that it's a giant spoiler before you do it.
Right.
I am just very interested to know what they're going to do from here on out. And we're halfway through the season. You know,
much we're gonna get. I think we're gonna get the Claire sickness before the end of the season, but it's, is Malva gonna die? Will we see the last of Malva? Will that be the cliffhanger?
But I also feel like in the show, we are still on the heels of what happened to Claire. Are they really going to be able to come down on Claire that hard? I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
I think that, I mean, I feel like we've barely scratched the surface. I feel like Malva just showed up and we don't really know her all that well yet.
Nobody knows her, the kooky pants.
And there's so much stuff that has to happen with her.
She's so good.
Isn't with Jamie good? And she's so good. She's so good. Wherever they found her, I don't know, but she's creepy. She's smart, beautiful, and creepy as.
Yeah, you don't know. We read the books and we don't know what her next move is going to be.
I know. On
the one hand, she's so likable, and on the other hand, she's so terrifying.
I know. All right. And on that note, it's time for us to say goodbye to all you spoiler lovers and book readers.
Yes.
Have a great week, and we will see you next week. Bye again.